So your opponent is Anthony Taylor. Do you know too much about him other than the fact he is Jake Paul's sparring partner at the moment?
I don't know anything about him. I don't want to know anything about him. It doesn't matter. What he is and what he isn't. He's getting knocked spark out on the night. So he can be what he is. He can talk what he wants, but it's all over. It's all over when you get in that ring, and that's what these fighters don't understand.
Now, this is the smug face of a man who's about to embark on one of two journeys. The first is, of course, becoming a household name over in the States by defeating Jake Paul, essentially using his fame to catapult his own. The second is he never gets the chance to fight Jake at all, and thus continues his domestic journey as the bin man biffer. Now, I say this in jest, as I actually find Tommy Fury to be quite likeable. He presents himself well and seems to be humble enough. However, in my opinion, I don't think he quite understands the real deal in this situation, which I'll be explaining a little further on in the video.
Logic tells us that this is a collision course. He's over your shoulder, Jake Paul. You're on his undercard. We're all thinking that you get through this fight and it is all roads lead to Jake Paul. Is that how you're seeing it as well? Is this the reason that you're doing it?
I would assume so. Let's get things straight here. They've not put me on the undercard for the good of my health, have they? They're doing it to try and build the fight, but that's all well and good. I'm here. I want the fight. I'll take the fight in a heartbeat. It's not a problem. It's all on this man's shoulders. And what can you do? I'm going to go over there and do what I do best: impress and box. And hopefully get the knockout win, and then the rest of the ball's in his court. It always has been. He's the one who controls everything. So it's either yay or nay for him.
So he says they're doing it to build up the fight. Now, this is a hefty assumption to make. What they're actually doing, in my opinion, is testing whether he will be a suitable future opponent for Jake or not. The simple fact is, the nobody that he is fighting and admittedly paying little attention to is the one actually carrying all of the cards. Why, I hear you ask? Just hold on a little longer and we'll find out.
I had a laugh to myself at the back there when Frank said, look, you don't want to box too well because you don't want anybody running off scared. If you do go out there and you perform how you have been performing, do you think that might make a difference on what lies ahead?
Probably, because he's sackless, isn't he? So if I go over there and bomb his sparring partner out, the one who he's been having 50-50s with in the gym for 6 weeks, and I bomb him out in 10-20 seconds, I don't know what he's going to do. He can either run with the tail between his legs, or he can step up and be a man and try and test himself. But at the end of the day, like every single fight, I ain't looking at Jake Paul until after August 29th. I'm vision tunnelled on Anthony Taylor. Can't remember his name. Anthony Taylor. I'm visual tunnelled on him.
First, it's tunnel visioned, but I'll let that one slide. Secondly, he thinks that his performance is going to scare Jake Paul. I can only speak for myself, but he doesn't exactly have an impressive opponent track record, and he didn't look too great in his last fight. I honestly think that if he doesn't perform well on the night, as in give a good show and knock out his opponent quickly, the US fans aren't going to care for him as a future Jake Paul opponent. To expand even further on that point, if he's even seen to be in trouble or going the distance with an opponent with 0 wins and 1 loss, Jake Paul isn't going to take him seriously enough to fight him because he wouldn't make good business sense. Now, if he does well, it would make great business sense. He'll become the first opportunity for Jake Paul to fight a boxer, and not only any boxer, but the brother of the current world champion, Tyron Fury, which will boost his public perception as a serious fighter tremendously, though more so in the US than the UK, I may add.
For Jake Paul to be headlining and you to be on the undercard, some will say, and I'm sure Jake Paul will say, I'm running the show here. Professional boxer like Tommy Fury has to box on my undercard. That's already a win for me. How do you see that?
It can be what it is, but I see this as nothing but a win-win for me. I'm out there, I'm boxing in front of a massive audience, a live audience in the stadium. It's worldwide audience, so it's a win-win for me.
And I absolutely agree. It is a win-win, but for both Jake Paul and Tommy Fury. It's a great way for Jake Paul to tick off the I fought a boxer checkbox, and one that carries the Fury's name as well to advance his own fighting record and potentially earn a colossal amount of money in the process. For Tommy, his exposure in the US increases and he becomes a recognised public figure, further compounded by the fame his surname already carries.
He hasn't fought a professional boxer yet, and that's not me knocking what he's done, but he has chosen to fight MMA fighters or fellow YouTubers. You will be the first professional boxer that he has fought if it comes to that. Do you think he's made a mistake by doing that?
A big mistake. From what I've seen, he used to campaign at 150 pounds. I think I was last 150 pounds when I was about 8 years old. My big light everywhere, everyone's seen that I'm in shape, I'm coming in shape, and I carry a lot of power. I just don't see what he can do. But it doesn't matter what you can do. It's all about what I can do, and I know what I can do, and I'm going to go over there and prove it.
I'd argue that Tommy Fury is Jake Paul's easiest way to get in boxing respect because he is a professional boxer and he carries the Fury name. It makes absolute sense for Jake Paul to fight Tommy Fury from both a professional and financial standpoint. However, the fans will have to want it. If Tommy looks great on the night, the boxing community are going to look to him to be the one to end Jake Paul's fighting career, and as we already know, is a very heavy burden to carry. I think personally it would be a great matchup and a fantastic fight to watch, and I'm all for it. On a final note, it's also important to remember that whilst Jake Paul isn't a professional fighter in the sense that Tommy Fury is, it still isn't a good look that Tommy Fury, a professional fighter, is chasing a Disney/YouTuber for a fight like stink on shit. So if you made it to the end of the video, I just want to say thank you, and if you want to see more of my content, you know exactly what to do. So let me know in the comments below, do you want to see the Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul fight? And if so, who do you think is going to win? Until next time.